Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is AMarkets global YouTube channel. My name is Yuri. I'm the international business developer. Today, together with me, my guest is Mr. Nikolay Isayev from the Financial Commission. Nikolay, hello.
Hi Yuri, how are you? Nice
I'm
to see
fine,
you.
thanks. How are you? Looking really, really good.
Thanks. It's been a very busy time for us here at Financial Commission.
Yes, it's been a really busy time for the whole world actually, but looking fine, looking optimistic is I guess it's the best thing to have in the year 2021. So, Nikolai, let's go on. Can you tell our subscribers who are not yet that familiar with the Financial Commission, how did the organization came about and what does it represent today?
The organization actually started in 2013. The founders of the Financial Commission are a few people from within the retail forex industry who've worked at different brokerages in the past. And what they saw in 2013 was really a need for independent dispute resolution services because those were not widely available to retail traders around the world. So specifically, if we take a look back at that time, really traders that lived in the United States, in the United Kingdom and Australia had local regulators that they could essentially come to with a complaint if they had an issue that they couldn't resolve with their broker. And that really left really many thousands of traders in other countries and other jurisdictions sort of out in the cold. They didn't necessarily have a place to go or a mediation body that they could approach to help them essentially answer questions or resolve a situation that they had with their brokerage. So back then, the founders basically saw a demand or a need for this type of service. And what they did is they approached other members of the industry and basically created an expert panel or a panel of experts, which is today called the Dispute Resolution Committee. And it's essentially executives and other professionals within the industry who volunteer their time to the Financial Commission to basically investigate complaints and disputes that are filed by traders, and then essentially help to determine or to compile a decision for that complaint and essentially issue a resolution so that both parties can, essentially resolve the problems that they had. And since 2013, the organization has enjoyed, I would say, a lot of success from an operational standpoint. The demand for these types of services from the Financial Commission have only increased year over year. And so, over the last, it's been about eight years, we've essentially processed over 4,500 complaints. And if your viewers want to take a look at statistics, they could go on our website and see that over the years we've awarded several $1 million in compensation to traders in the process of resolving the disputes that the Financial Commission has received over this time.
A really impressive story and the really impressive statistics so as well. Nikolai, one step back. Our guests are always wondering what made you pursue a career in finance and trading, and how did your journey start in the industry, and what drove you to choose this industry for your personal professional growth?
Actually, I didn't have a specific goal or career goal to work in the Forex or trading industry itself. When I was in college, I was studying topics that are related to international economic relations. So I had a pretty good broad understanding of how the financial markets work, but I wasn't necessarily focused specifically on Forex or CFDs or anything like that. It was really after college, I was pursued for a position at Gain Capital, which is a company that owns the popular domain forex.com. And once I came to work at Gain Capital is when I got immersed in really the Forex industry as a whole. And having spent roughly 12 years at Gain Capital, over the years I was able to sort of grow within the company and assume different roles within different departments. And that kind of gave me a very sort of broad, but also in-depth education or experience in specific areas of our industry. So I guess you could say that, you know, once I joined the Forex broker way back when, you know, the rest was history, and sort of I became a lasting sort of member of this industry.
Really interesting. What should a trader who started working with a financial commission broker member know about the organization, and how does the organization protect the traders?
Well, I think the first thing that traders should understand is that companies that are members of the Financial Commission, so brokers such as yourselves, already have some protections in place for the customer. I say that because the membership rules and guidelines for all brokers that are members of Financial Commission state that you must have a dispute resolution clause in your terms and conditions. That is not something that you will find, you know, at every Forex brokerage around the world. Essentially, what that means is that AMarkets customers and customers of other brokers who are members of Financial Commission have the ability to file a dispute directly with the broker themselves first. And in doing so, the company is receptive to traders, again, maybe having an issue and being very straightforward and forthright in investigating that issue, and possibly coming to a resolution or an answer together before any kind of external dispute resolution needs to take place. And so I think that's one of the most important things that traders should understand is there's already sort of a level of protection there for you, because companies that work with us are required to sort of have these protections. Now, if for some reason the trader cannot come to a resolution or come to an understanding with the company or with the broker with respect to their issue, again, the members of the Financial Commission let their customers through their terms and conditions come to us and essentially file a dispute absolutely free without any charges or anything like that to the trader, and basically offer their clients the ability to have our dispute resolution committee, which I mentioned previously, to essentially investigate the dispute. Now, we'll probably go into this in a little bit more detail as we go along, but I wanted to say that, you know, part of the dispute resolution process, it should not be construed or thought of as some kind of very stringent or complex legal matter. This is really a mediation between two parties, and the dispute resolution committee, and especially its experts, independent experts, really try to offer recommendations to both parties when they investigate and resolve disputes, to basically help both parties improve. If it's traders, oftentimes it may be things that are recommended to the trader to watch out for in the future in terms of their trading. It could be about, you know, managing their trading risks, leverage, using orders in their trading and things like that. And for the brokers, it could be recommendations on how to carefully improve some parts of their operations, perhaps, to basically better satisfy customer satisfaction needs.
Well, how can traders be confident that their disputes will be handled in an objective way?
Well, I think the most important thing to say here is that the dispute resolution process within the organization, when it heads to the DRC or the information in a dispute is handed over to the dispute resolution committee and the experts, it's done so anonymously. So the experts in the dispute resolution committee do not have access to the customer's name, any identifying information of the customer is not available to the experts, nor do the experts know the name of the broker against which that complaint was filed. So in other words, when the experts of the committee investigate all the information, they remain completely unbiased because there is essentially no information there to, to influence their position in one way or another. The other thing that I would say is, there's over 20 experts on the Dispute Resolution Committee today. And, if your viewers navigate to our website and go to the About Us section, they can essentially read the profile or a short biography of each individual expert. And what they'll find is that these experts are really professionals in their own specific sort of niche within the industry. So some people are very knowledgeable and experienced in trading. They may have been working at a dealing desk at some point, or they may be executives at a company that provides specifically trading services, let's say on an institutional level. There are other experts who are legal professionals. So these are attorneys and lawyers who have worked in a let's say business-to-business capacity and in a business-to-customer capacity over the years. And they are very well qualified to essentially investigate matters that have, more so of a legal matter that's being, let's say, investigated. And then there are other experts who have been educators within the industry, right? So these are people who have done seminars for traders. They've taught traders how to properly employ risk management techniques during trading. Others have conducted market analysis and research in their past roles. So, in other words, the Dispute Resolution Committee as a whole is very, very diverse, and that lets us achieve two things. It lets us to process complaints and investigate them and come to a resolution very, very quickly. That's to say that, we may issue a decision on a complaint, or there might be a complaint that doesn't necessarily require a decision. It really requires just both parties to be a little bit more educated, and essentially our experts and our committee will essentially point certain things out to traders and to brokers. If perhaps there's just a plain misunderstanding rather than a fully fledged complaint. So it lets us quickly process complaints and basically issue answers, responses, and decisions. And at the same time, it lets us really handle and process and accept many different complaints of many, many different topics. Instead of focusing perhaps, just on, let's say trading related complaints where a trader has an issue with an order or trade that was or was not executed on their account, for example.
Yeah, so professionally built and diverse squad, really impressive. Well, how would you characterize the operations of AMarkets, our broker, considering the amount of the complaints received from traders and issues indicated in those complaints?
I took a quick look at your statistics for 2020, so the previous year, and the first quarter statistics for this year. Generally speaking, I could say that your brokerage is doing a very good job in, basically reacting to customer inquiries, and really managing customer expectations is really kind of what I'm getting at, because I can see that there's a small number of complaints that are filed against your brokerage, both on a quarterly, in a quarterly time frame and in a yearly time frame. Obviously, if we compare that to other members of the financial commission, I think you guys are doing a very good job. The other thing that tells me is that your operational process in terms of working with your customers is most likely very efficient, because you are able to essentially bring your customers who have questions, who have complaints to you directly, and you're able to basically answer those questions and resolve those complaints directly with the customer before they even need to, or before they even think of approaching the financial commission, for help with their dispute. So I think that's ultimately one of the goals that we strive for our members to have, right? Is to have this smooth, quick, and efficient process to manage customer expectations and make sure that at the end of the day, they're as satisfied as they could be, right? The other thing I would say is that when I look at the specific complaints that have been filed in the last year and in this quarter, I see that most of them are really related to trading related issues. Checking the price of a trade that the customer had, or perhaps a customer's positions were liquidated because of the fact that they did not have enough margin in their trading account. Again, these are common questions, common complaints and disputes that traders come to us with. But looking at the dispute resolution process itself in those complaints and communications with your company in the process of resolving them, we could see that you guys are very straightforward. And I've seen at least one example of a complaint where, again, an example of how we work, both you and the trader were essentially able to come to a resolution and an agreement, or a compromise, if you could call it that, between each other before our dispute resolution committee even had to step in. So, at the stage of just investigating the matter at Financial Commission, we saw that your representatives and the customer were able to come to a mutual agreement, and hence that complaint was properly closed without a resolution or a decision, because again, you guys were able to resolve it with the customer, which, like I said, previously, that is really what we're striving for. And we believe that this kind of approach and this kind of process to customer questions and complaints is really a goal that I think the whole Forex industry should strive for, that all traders should have the ability to have these processes go smoothly and quickly, and it helps the brokers like yourselves in the long run as well.
Thank you. We're really doing our best to provide the best customer service. And talking about traders, how can a trader decide if they should work with a certain broker and determine if their interests are protected?
That's a great question. And that question has been really posed to us, and we are being asked this question really every day with traders who, again, don't have any complaints. Perhaps they just come to the Financial Commission with questions every day. How do I find the right broker for me? I don't think there is, one correct answer. I think it's different for everyone, but I think the main things that a new trader specifically should focus on is, what kind of services does the broker provide in terms of what kind of financial products can you trade at that brokerage? How long has that broker been in business? And how does that broker really operate? So, for example, pretty much every broker out there has the ability for you as a trader to open a demo account, right? Like a practice account, or a demo account as they call it. It's essentially a great way to test out the brokerage from a trading perspective in some ways, but also from a customer service and operational perspective. So, if you open a demo account at a brokerage, you can essentially go to chat, call the broker, ask questions about, how how to work on your trading account, and then also things like, what are the policies to deposit funds, to withdraw funds. Maybe the broker has, I don't know, some kind of incentive programs and things like that. It all really depends on each individual trader, sort of what's important to them. But at the same time, I would say that traders also need to they should also approach this from a sort of reviews and opinions sort of angle. So I would recommend traders to, besides doing all of this, to go online to find broker reviews and basically see what other people are saying, other traders are saying about these different companies that a trader is thinking about working with. Oftentimes, if a broker has been in business for a significant amount of time, a long time, there will be a good amount of reviews online, most likely, very positive, and perhaps even some negative, that will help the trader sort of understand overall what are the general impressions that traders have of a particular brokerage. Another very important aspect to looking for a broker and deciding who you want to trade with, maybe unfortunately at this point, is to always check basically the regulatory status of that broker, and essentially make sure that they are providing services within the sort of the legal framework of the countries that they operate in. So for example, the Financial Commission has a few resources that traders can use to, on the one hand, check sort of regulatory status of brokers and kind of very quickly find out where each broker is registered and where they're regulated, and some very simple information to help guide their sort of choices. And at the same time, there's also a list of global financial regulators on the Financial Commission website. So in other words, a trader might be very new to Forex, and they might not know, where do I look, how do I look up a broker's registration status or their licensing status or something like that. And we try to make that a little easier for users on our website, so they could essentially do their, kind of do their own research and see what really fits them. And going back to one of your previous questions, I think ultimately, if a trader wants to be very picky and they have the time to, be very careful with their review and sort of deciding on who they want to work with, again, they should check the customer agreement or the terms and conditions of the broker. If they find that the broker has these kind of clauses where, the broker has a process in place for dispute resolution internally, and the trader knows exactly what their sort of rights are and what they're entitled to if there's an issue with the broker, then in my book, that only adds credibility to that broker. And sort of, if I had a checklist of criteria that needed to be checked off before deciding whether or not this broker is for me, I think those kind of things would definitely be on my list, and I would be, checking them off.
Yeah, so dear traders, go and visit the Financial Commission website to check the AMarkets. Broker operates since 2007. So, talking about last year, how has the COVID pandemic affected the operations of the Financial Commission, and how has the traders' behavior changed?
Well, in terms of our operations, I'm really happy to say that they were not really affected at all. Unfortunately, we did have one of our staff members contract COVID, so he unfortunately did get sick with the virus. But thank God that everything at the end of the day, everything was fine. He was able to recover. And, we have a very flexible operation in the sense that we have staff around the world in different time zones and in different regions, which really helps us to have almost like a 24-hour operation Monday through Friday. And that's one of the reasons why we're able to work so quickly, processing disputes, accepting them, investigating them, and issuing decisions. If you take a look at some of our statistics, which we publish on a monthly basis and on a semi-annual, annual basis, you'll see that our operating metrics last year were actually quite stable from a time standpoint. Like, how long does it take us to resolve a dispute? We call that average dispute resolution time. And so, over the different months last year, you could see that number fluctuated, but it fluctuated somewhere between 5, 6, 7 days. At times, it may have gone up a little bit more, but it stayed within this sort of threshold. And that really continues through today. So according to our statistics from March, which is our last period, our average dispute resolution time was about 7 days, which I think is very, very quick. And if you take a look at sort of our performance in years back, a few years ago, our average dispute resolution time was twice as much. So it was about 14 days. So over the years, we've improved this metric. And last year, I'm happy to say that, we were able to accommodate traders the same way that we were doing before. And this is really at the same time that the amount of complaints that we received in 2020 was actually, significantly higher than 2019. So we saw record growth in the amount of new complaints that we received, but from a resolution perspective, in terms of how quickly we were processing everything, that number relatively stayed the same. So I'm happy that we're able to continue operating in this quite hectic, as you would probably agree, environment. Now, from a trader perspective, what we saw last year is a massive demand or new demand for trading services among really the global population. So we saw hundreds of thousands, if not maybe even millions of people who became investors or traders for their first time in their life. And the reason for that was, on the one hand, the fact that a lot of people were sort of cooped up at home. There were lockdowns. They were not really able to, go on with regular life as sort of we were used to it. And at the same time, on the news and in the media, there was a lot of talk about different financial markets, either achieving new lows or achieving new highs. There were situations with the price of oil last year. There were situations with the price of gold last year that essentially brought a lot of demand and a lot of interest from new investors and new traders. And those new investors and traders really kind of hit the ground running and started to open trading accounts at all kinds of different brokerages around the world, with equity brokers, with forex brokers, really across the whole spectrum. And we saw that as well, because that translated into, over time last year, that translated into a lot more new complaints, which I mentioned, our statistics. For several months, we had a very large jump in complaints, again, because there was so many new traders that entered the market. And again, some of them were not experienced at all. They were completely new. Others may have had some experience, but because of the major fluctuations in prices on the financial markets last year, some of them did, unfortunately have an issue here, an issue there, which either, they couldn't understand what happened and why, or it was a situation where, again, it was, let's say, something to do with trading or funding or withdrawing funds from an account, and essentially traders needed our help in resolving that situation. And we actually see this trend sort of continuing. So as you may recall, earlier this year, there has been a lot of talk about equities trading among very young investors, and GameStop and a few of these other stocks that have now become very talked about in the global markets. And this new demand and interest from young investors into Forex, into equities and CFDs, really any financial markets, we think is going to continue.
Great. Talking about the future. So what are the Financial Commission's plans for the future? And what are some initiatives you're working on at the moment? What services can we expect to see in the future?
Well, one of the things, well, first I'll say that, our operations last year during COVID or coronavirus pandemic have been quite good, right? And we've been able to manage things, but it obviously had an impact in terms of sort of maybe more strategic projects or something like that down the road for us, and we've had to reevaluate some things. But I think in the near term or in the medium term, one of the things that we want to do is we would like to expand into even more regions around the world. Today, the Financial Commission can accept and process complaints in 8 different languages, which obviously is great and is very comfortable for traders. But at the same time, we'd like to we're thinking about expanding into other geographies, including some parts of Asia, and also Latin America is a region where Forex and CFD trading is becoming, a lot more popular. And we expect that there will be more demand from these regions in terms of our types of services. And the other thing too is that a lot of the financial services industry is not switching, but is adopting also things like digital currencies and cryptocurrencies as we know them, and tokens in a way. And it's really important for us to stay on top of this, to make sure that our organization is able to understand these new types of financial products, if we can call them new financial products, and also that our dispute resolution committee and our experts are able to essentially process complaints that may be related to these types of financial products, and essentially, continue to effectively and in a transparent way to be able to resolve these kind of issues for traders going forward.
Nikolay, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to talk to you. I hope that the information, this useful information, will help the traders to choose a right broker, the regulated broker. And we wish the Financial Commission good luck in this global development. It's really great that the company spreads its services all over the world. So thank you very much. For our subscribers, we will place all the useful links below this video. So thank you very much, and see you again on the AMarkets YouTube channel. Thank you.
Thanks, Yuri. See you soon.